Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to TMRP on Metropolis Radio, and before we get into the first topic of discussion, I want to give a huge shout out to Movie World Comics for bringing this topic to my attention last week in the comments section on one of the segments, and that is Disney has reportedly permanently banned two Don Rosa Uncle Scrooge stories. Now, I know that this is from over a month ago, but I don't really follow the world of comics, so Movie World Comics, if you are listening to this, thank you for bringing this to my attention. And if any of you have a topic that you would like me to discuss on the show, don't be afraid to leave it down in the comments of one of the one of these segments. Now, that's not a guarantee that I will cover it on the show, but still, don't be afraid to throw suggestions down there, because you never know. I might have a lot to say on a particular subject that you may want me to discuss. But anyway, let's get into this article here from Comic Book Resources. Disney reportedly permanently bans two Don Rosa Uncle Scrooge stories. The Walt Disney Company has reportedly banned two of writer and artist Don Rosa's Uncle Scrooge stories from all reprints or future collections. Disney has reportedly banned two of Don Rosa's Scrooge McDuck stories from future reprints and collections. According to a tweet from DuckTales' Twitter account, I believe that is a DuckTales fan blog. Rosa received an email explaining two of his Scrooge McDuck stories, The Richest Duck in the World and The Dream of a Lifetime, won't be republished or part of any collections moving forward. Duck Talks, a podcast. Okay, it's a podcast. I thought it was a blog. Duck Talks, a podcast that discusses the latest developments stemming from Disney's DuckTales, later posted the Richest Duck in the World ban may actually be for the Empire Builder of Calisota, which is oftentimes referred to as the richest duck in the world. CBR has reached out to Disney directly for comment on the situation. They obviously never replied. Quote, actually they did, sorry. Quote, as part of its ongoing commitment to diversity and inclusion, the Walt Disney Company is in the process of reviewing their library of stories, the message sent to Rosa reads. As a result, some stories that do not align with their values will no longer be published. This applies to two of your classic stories, The Richest Duck in the World and The Dream of a Lifetime. These stories will not be part of any reprints or new collections, end quote. Rosa responded to the situation in Facebook's, the official Don Rosa group, capturing a screenshot posted to CLZ Comics' Facebook page. Quote, I wonder what other duck stories are now banned, he wrote. Maybe only mine, maybe not. But obviously all 12 chapters of My Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck are now banned because they can't be published without the final chapter. I won't even comment on what this will mean to the collector market, end quote. Published in 1994, The Empire from Calisota follows Scrooge as he ventures to Africa in an attempt to become the richest person in the world. While there, he encounters Bombi the Zombie, which that is the character that you're seeing on the screen right now, a character who was cursed by a witch doctor named Fulazula. Bombi the Zombie proceeds to chase Scrooge around the world before Scrooge manages to trap him on an island for multiple decades. Scrooge then dreams about Bombi the Zombie in 2002's The Dream of a Lifetime, a story that has been widely compared to Christopher Nolan's Inception, as it sees the Beagle Boys invade Scrooge's dreams to steal his belongings. Now, if you were to ask me as to why these two Scrooge McDuck stories were banned by Disney, I think it has something to do with Bombi the Zombie itself. It was probably one random blogger on the internet one day decided that they're going to get butt-fucking offended over Bombi the Zombie and the fact that he's from Africa and he quote-unquote looks like African natives, blah, 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 blah. That's probably all this is. But let's go back to Don Rosa's comment, especially on this last part. I won't even comment on. Actually, let me reread the whole thing. I wonder what other duck stories are now banned. Maybe only mine, maybe not. But obviously, all 12 chapters of My Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck are now banned because they can't be published without the final chapter. I won't even comment on what this will mean to the collector market. Well, just a week later on DuckTalks' official fan blog, this was on February 21st, so this was a week later, is banned Uncle Scrooge stories becoming harder to find. Well, no shit, they're becoming harder to find. Currently, the majority of the Don Rosa library is quote-unquote temporarily out of stock on Fantagraphics' website. This includes the 5th and 10th volumes. The 5th volume includes the life and times of Scrooge McDuck, chapter titled "The Empire Builder of Calistoda," and the 10th volume includes the dream of a lifetime. If I can talk today. Duck fans around the world learned last week that publishers have been informed the Empire of Calistoda and the Dream of a Lifetime will no longer be reprinted or included in new collections. The publisher who communicated this with Don notes the stories no longer align with WDC's values. That's the Walt Disney Company. A quick look at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com reveal online stock problems as well. After a Google search, we can say at this time there are some online retailers with the book available around the retail price. Unfortunately, the secondary market's prices are beginning to reflect an item that is rare to collectors. Being fans of Scrooge McDuck, we don't recommend turning to these outlets. Keep looking for retail options where you will pay around retail price. But that is good advice on a fan blog. However, if these stories are no longer going to be published, and this is the only way you're going to be able to read them, even if you are a diehard DuckTales and Scrooge McDuck fan, you're not going to have a choice but to go to the secondhand market. And then, surprise, surprise, February 28th, so 2 weeks after these stories were reportedly banned by Disney, this other article from Comic Book Resources, Don Rosa's banned Uncle Scrooge comics spike in price. And can I get a no fucking shit down in the comments below? Who saw that one coming? Prices on eBay for 2 of Don Rosa's Uncle Scrooge stories skyrocket after they're banned from all future reprints and collections by Disney. Prices for Don Rosa's banned Uncle Scrooge McDuck stories have skyrocketed on eBay. Prices for Walt Disney's Uncle Scrooge number 295, which was published in 1994 and includes the story The Empire Builder of Calistoda, oftentimes referred to as the richest duck in the world, written and illustrated by Rosa, have seen serious price increases on eBay following Disney's decision to reportedly ban the story from future reprints or collections. Rosa's The Dream of a Lifetime, published in 2002, and Walt Disney's Uncle Scrooge number 329, was also banned from future reprints or collections and has similarly seen price increases from third-party sellers. Single issues of Walt Disney's Uncle Scrooge number 295 have sold for around $100 to $150 on eBay, while an issue of Walt Disney's Uncle Scrooge number 329 sold for $129. Other sellers have listed Walt Disney's Uncle Scrooge number 295 for as high as $799. Yes, what this reminds me of. Now, I know it's kind of a comparison to apples and oranges, but the first thing that pops into my head is when Flappy Bird got delisted from the Apple Store, and all of a sudden, iPhones that had that game installed were going for insane prices on eBay of one of them was going for like $20,000-$30,000 because it's now a game that you can no longer play. But bringing it back to DuckTales, this is why I have always made the case for the fact that piracy always needs to be an option, right? Disney reportedly is not going to reprint these stories ever again. So let me ask you this question for all of you purists, all of you moralists that are going to come at me with, well, piracy is morally and ethically wrong. Let me ask you this God's honest question. Who are you hurting by downloading these stories that the Walt Disney Company themselves have deemed they are no longer going to publish, therefore you can no longer get your hands on them legitimately? The only way you can get your hands on them now is through third-party sellers, through the secondhand market, and as we're seeing, because these stories are now quote-unquote banned, now the prices are ballooning and skyrocketing out of control. So once again, who are you really hurting by pirating the richest duck in the world, and the dream of a lifetime at this point? I know I've kind of repeated myself, but still, honest to goodness, ask yourself that question. Who are you legitimately harming by going out there and obtaining a quote-unquote illegitimate copy on the internet?